What is the Orton-Gillingham approach? Who was Samuel T. Orton? 1879 to 1948. A neuropsychiatrist and pathologist, was a pioneer in focusing attention on reading failure and related language processing difficulties. He brought together neuroscientific info and principles of remediation as early as 1920s. He had extensively studied children with the kind of language processing difficulties now commonly associated with dyslexia, and have formulated a set of teaching principles and practices for such children. Who was Anna Gillingham? 1878 to 1963. Gillingham was a gifted educator and psychologist with a superb mastery of the language. Working with Dr. Orton, she trained teachers and complied and published instructional materials. Over the last half century, the Orton-Gillingham approach has been the seminal and most influential intervention designed to expressively work for remediating the language processing problem for children and adults with dyslexia. About Orton and Gillingham. So Gillingham did write something called the Gillingham Manual, Remedial Training for Children with Specific Disability in Reading, Spelling, and Penmanship, alongside Bessie Stoneman, which was published in the year 1935. How the Orton-Gillingham approach came to be. So in the 1930s, neuropsychiatrist and pathologist, again, Samuel T. Orton, and educator psychologist Anna Gillingham, they did develop Orton-Gillingham approach to reading instruction for students with word blindness, which would later become dyslexia. Their approach combined direct multisensory teaching strategies paired with systematic sequential lessons focused on phonics. Orton and educator Gillingham developed the basic philosophy of Orton-Gillingham throughout the 1930s and 1940s. They definitely had that believing that students with severe dyslexia needed a multisensory approach, particularly the use of the auditory, visual, and kinesthetic channels. So in the literacy instruction, 1991, it was something that involves listening, speaking, seeing, and writing. So a lot of educators or teachers, as we know, it's ear, mouth, eyes, and hand. So the Orton-Gillingham approach is a direct, explicit, multisensory, structured, sequential, diagnostic, and prescriptive way to teach literacy when reading, writing, and spelling does not come easily to individuals. So when it does not, such as those with dyslexia. So it is most properly understood and practiced as an approach, not a method, program, or system. In the hands of a well-trained and experienced instructor, it is a powerful tool of exceptional breadth, depth, and flexibility. So it practices that characteristics or characterizes the Gillingham approach and two sources, so the body and etc. So Orton-Gillingham approach. So here's somewhat what we're looking at. So the Orton-Gillingham approach is based on these following principles. 1, break down the skills. So number 1, you start with the basics and gradually build on skills by breaking reading and spelling down into smaller components. So that could be saying, okay, there are this many vowels in front of you, or this many vowels I want you to read. And you can say, okay, here are the short vowel sounds I want you to do. And the student will read, or you will have them say, A, as in apple. or E as in egg, or I as in igloo, etc. Continuing there. Teach connections. So explicitly teach the connections between letters and sounds. So that means, okay, the letter D, what does that make if you have the word dog? If you write it down and you say, okay, what's this letter? They say, D. They might end up reading as dog when it's really dog. So the other one that's important is using multi-senses. So incorporate sight, hearing, touch, and movement to help students learn. So that could be tapping the desk when you are working on phonological awareness, or when you work with a student that's doing compound words and you're saying, okay, here's the word airplane. What I have done at my school when I did learn this with my teacher, they would have me come up to the board. They would put, let's say, that word airplane on the board. They would say, okay, where do you split that word? And then the other thing that helps is if you clap it out, airplane. So you know, air is the first and plane is the second syllable. And then provide immediate feedback. So don't wait until the very end. If they completed something and it was challenging, still you need to say something to them, because it will make them feel like they are learning and they're not doing something incorrectly. And then review regularly. So this could be every day for 15-20 minutes before introducing something new. This approach is most often taught one-on-one, but it also can be used in small groups or in the classroom. So this part of the presentation is just looking at characteristic comparison chart for your dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, and dyscalculia. So let's go ahead and look at that. So dyslexia characteristics. So the top part just says understanding differences and similarities. So for the dyslexia, your definition, it is a specific reading disorder affecting word recognition. 5 to 10% of those school-aged children, meaning 5 to 10% are diagnosed with dyslexia. Main symptoms are going to be difficulty recognizing written words, slow and laborious reading, or letter confusion. The one thing that is often confused is letters B and D. So we use the two thumb trick. So one of them looks like a B, the other looks like a D. So if we're like, okay, is it a B or D sound? So a lot of times we review that one quite regularly, like it said back on this side where it says review regularly. Early signs is difficulty learning letters and their sounds. So if you have a student and you're reading, or they're reading you the vowel sounds and they say something like, knowing that A is A for apple, if they say E apple, you know there's going to be some confusion there because they're not hearing themselves, but you are hearing what they're saying. If they say that, that means you need to get their parents updated and see if they need to take a test for finding out if they have dyslexia. Causes is either genetic and or neurological factors. Your evaluation will be a reading and sorry, I am dyslexic, so I actually have some trouble reading, but yes, it says reading and phonology test. So, as you can see, I'm having a little trouble reading, but that's okay. Your interventions is speech therapy, remediation programs, or assistive technologies. School adaptations is extra time for tests, adapted text, or audiobooks. Impact on learning is affects the ability to read and understand text, so possible academic delays. Dysgraphia. So, looking at this, you can see the percentage goes up by a 10% after looking at dyslexia from 5 to 10. It goes 5 to 20. So this is specific writing disorder affecting legibility and organization. So 5 to 20% of school-age children have dysgraphia. Legibility, handwriting. So you can't, or slow writing or difficulty forming letters. Your signs, for your early signs, it's difficulty with drawing or coloring, delay in learning to write, causes neurological factors affecting fine motor skills. Evaluation is going to be your handwriting and fine motor skill evaluation. Those interventions will include occupational therapy, handwriting remediation programs, or alternative writing tools. Again, adaptions, extra time for tests, and also the use of a computer. So this really affects the ability to produce written work, delays in subjects requiring frequent writing. Dyspraxia. Disorder affecting motor coordination and planning. 5 to 10% of children school-aged children. So it's poor coordination, difficulty with tasks requiring fine motor skills, or in other words, clumsiness, so delayed motor milestones. So that could be crawling or walking, and then trouble with buttons or zippers. So causes is going to be neurological factors affecting that motor planning and coordination. Motor skill assessments, occupational therapy evaluations, interventions is OT, physical therapy, and motor skills training. So this would be adaptions. So extra time for physical gains and modified physical education. This affects the ability to perform tasks requiring fine and gross motor skills. Impacts physical education and handwriting. Dyscalculia. So I actually have dyscalculia, and it is way worse than my dyslexia. So it's a specific mathematical disorder affecting numbers and understanding calculation. 3 to 6% of those school-age children will be diagnosed. Your main symptoms are going to be difficulty understanding number concepts, struggling with arithmetic operations, and poor number sense. Early signs is going to be difficulty learning to count or trouble recognizing numbers and patterns. So lots of students I've had as a friend at my school, a good friend of mine, they would always write their fives backwards. That is a more common thing that is seen in dyslexia. Not dyslexia, sorry, dyscalculia. The causes is neurological factors affecting numeratical processing. So evaluation is a math skill assessment and cognitive testing. So intervention is really going to look at specialized math instruction, use of manipulatives and visual aids. Adaptions, extra time for math tests, use of calculators, visual aids for math concepts. Impact on learning. It affects the ability to perform mathematical operations, leading to delays in math-related subjects. So this right here is just an important thing for those who are certified for children to help students or children with autism. This is an autism accommodations checklist for teachers, and it has A, B, C, D, E, and F. So A, it's classroom environment. B, instructional strategies. C, it's for communicate support, behavioral support, sensory accommodations, and academic modifications. So it's split up into 3 categories: section, and then for this behavior, and then suggestion for the solution. So this is something I won't kind of want to focus into. Um, it, it's going to be difficulty with social cues. So use social stories and role playing to teach social interactions. So I'm not going to read all of this because I don't want to bore you guys with all of this. I will let you guys read this and then go to the next slide. This. So what is this? This is strategies for supporting executive functioning needs. So this one I definitely am going to go over because this is something that is very important and a very organized chart and something for you to really look at. So your challenge, impact, support strategies, tools, and resources. So difficulty remembering assignments. So that could be missed homework or disorganization. So write homework in the same spot daily. Use assignment notebooks or digital planners. Tools and resources, homework planner, apps, Google Keep, or My Homework. Whiteboards for daily reminders. Struggles with planning and organization. Poor time management or lost materials. So that's the impact. So again, this, I know I was going to say I'm going to read it, but again, it's a lot to read, so I'm not really going to go through all of it. So that is what this is. So what is this? So this is strategies for managing stimming behaviors in special education. So it's, again, 3 categories. Stimming behavior, why it happens, and strategies for special education. So this is the first page of it. There's a second page of it. So a lot of times you will either see some, like this one. So the first one is twirling or pulling hair. So it could be self-soothing or anxiety. So a lot of times you can try and offer sensory bracelets or textured items to touch. A lot of the things we look at is a lot of things we look at is if we look at this first page of it, a lot of students of ours, they do tap their pencil, so it's seeking focus or auditory stimulation. So a lot of times we provide silent fidgets or allow alternative writing tools, such as the computer. Looking at this one, another popular one is biting fingernails. So it for anxiety relief or oral input. So what we also might do is offer chewable alternatives or introduce mindfulness strategies. So a lot of this is related to it. What is this page? So if you're looking at this page, you hopefully know what this is. IEP goal template for ADHD specific needs. So for you guys out there who don't know what IEP stands for, that does stand for Individualized Education Plan. This is something that teachers use for any student who needs more of a, again, related to the name, more of a individualized education plan. So the whole IEP team will be at the meeting. They will use a sheet that looks like this, or they will use one from the public school systems. This is what they call an ADHD observation and support rating tool. So it is used for observations. So you can see, okay, what are they doing in class? What are they, what is their behavior like? So like, is it distracting others in the classroom? Is it something that they can't not do? So that relates back to kind of fidgets. So that pretty much wraps this up.